What Remains of Edith Finch, a game released in April of 2017. This game went on to be an amazing performing game, mainly getting a lot of its attention from TikTok in the early 2020 to 2021. This game also happens to be one, if not my favorite game in general. This game has so many feelings of sadness, melancholy. No matter what you do in life, there will always be something out there that gives you this feeling of nostalgia. Rather it's a movie, music, games, whatever it may be. In this instance, this game just holds that feeling in every corner of it. We're going to explore this game up and down, left and right. Oh, look over there. Well, oh, that way. We're exploring all of it. And I will convince you why you should play this game. Not let alone, spin your doubloons on this game, but play it all the way through. Even maybe put it at the top of your list of favorite games. So now let's talk about the beauty of What Remains of Edith Finch. In this game, the main character we play through is Edith Finch, a 17-year-old girl who inherited the house after her mother died. And wanting to figure out her family story and explore, she heads to the house. We first start with Edith going through the woods to her house, talking about memories and all this other gobbledygook. And we get to the house and we get in. After looking around the kitchen and the front room and this house in general, reminiscing on memories, we head upstairs and enter our first room. In this room, it's Blue Shark's, and it used to be her Uncle Walter's room. What we didn't know is there was a secret door. Edith unlocks it, figures out how to open it, and we get through the secret room and it leads directly to Molly's room. In this whole game, we base everything off of family trees. The whole family tree of the house, we go by the story of person, not necessarily chronological. We figure out that person's story, how they passed, and we write them down in our little sketchbook. We are, in Molly's room, and we're looking around. It's so fancy, girly, and we find this little book of Molly's last diary. So through Molly's diary, we learn that she was sent to bed with no food from her mother, Edie, who is a big character in this story, so keep that name, in your brain. It's not 100% certain how she died. Might have been, the berries, the old carrot, or even the toothpaste she ate, but who knows? What we do know is she did not turn into a cat, an owl, a shark, and a weird squid monster, and she didn't die by getting eaten by the squid monster she once was. I know all this sounds confusing and random, but stay with me. After writing Molly down in the notebook, we had the Edie's and Sven's room. Edie and Sven is Molly's mother and Edith's grandma and grandpa. While we're in the room, we're looking around and we find out about Odin, who is Edie's dad. Odin, pioneer, first person to make the first concept of the Finch house. But big storm comes in, rolls through, breaks the house, and Odin being Odin, he go down with his vessel and he ends up drowning with the house. I think also in this room we figure out how Sven died. I'm not 100% sure, or I don't remember if it's in this room. But to cut to the point, this man was building a magic treehouse type dragon. It was a big dragon slide, and it broke, and he fell, and he died. End of story. Now, past the pink carpet bathroom, which is a terrible choice, we end up in Sam and Calvin's room. Sam and Calvin are sons of Sven and Edie. They are also twins. Not a big, thing to think about, but it's still details. While we're exploring the room, we head over to Calvin's side of the room. Calvin is a big space nerd. Let's just cut to the point. He loves space compared to Sam's army boot camp style room. We head up and we find a note from Sam talking about his brother. We figure out Calvin wanted to fly, so he made up his mind to do that. Calvin was swinging and gained so much speed and so much force that he wrapped around the tree multiple times, and after 1 or 3 times, he ends up flying off past the cliff into nothing but water and rocks, and that was the end of him. After Calvin's room, we find another secret hatch, and it leads to this little crawl space that leads directly to Barbara's room. While we're going through the crawl space, Edith talks about how the crawl space was made for smaller hands and smaller bellies.
Been built for smaller hands and bellies.
Keep that in mind. We find out that Barbara was a child actor. getting most of her roles from this Bigfoot movie, but she had a famous scream. That's what she got big off of. As growing up, she didn't get as many roles because her famous scream went away. Plus, she's growing older. While we're going through her room, we find a comic book. In this comic book, it explains the whole death of Barbara. Long story short, Barbara gets attacked by a bunch of monsters and dies, which, let's be for real here. No one's believing that. The biggest part of this story is she's watching her younger brother, Walter. Walter was hiding under his bed and seeing everything play out. So whatever happened definitely affected Walter, and it had to have been big enough to do so. Who knows how Barbara died, whether she died by real monsters or some random person. Whatever it may be, it was brutal. As we head to the basement, there's a fridge. We open the fridge and it leads to a bunker. Turns out Walter has been hiding in this bunker for years. Centuries. How much is a century?
Go fuck yourself.
Okay, so he was not there for a century. He was there for a couple of decades. That was the word I was looking for. Walter has been in this bunker hiding from the monster that lays outside of the walls. Whatever killed Barbara, whatever got the rest of his family, he is scared and he's been in this bunker just eating peaches, canned peaches, every day. Another thing to know is while he's going day by day, there's a train that goes by and rattles this whole area. One day, he's sitting there and his place doesn't rattle. He's confused by all this, but he goes day by day until he finally tells himself enough hiding. He gets out of the bunker, gets greeted by sunlight, and is not scared anymore until randomly he gets hit by a train and is gone for good. After reading about this and seeing this, we take a walk. We go past the train tracks, past the little beach area, and we get to the cemetery. The family cemetery of everyone who died, even including the animals. R.I.P., Zerpy, Lurpy, Furpy, Chirpy, Burpy, Derpy, and most importantly, Derpy Jr. We pass the cemetery, and Edith has to do like a wipeout stunts to get to the next bit of the house. But while we're here, she says this.
It's gonna be so much climbing. I never would have come when I was 22 weeks pregnant.
Yes, she has been pregnant this whole time. She literally could be dead. She could have died while going through this house, but no. She somehow doesn't, but she was pregnant this whole time, doing a lot of monkey business, a lot of monkeying around, and she's not dead, which is good. We go to Sam's room, and we find all these photos from a hunting trip that he took his daughter on. His daughter, aka Dawn, aka Edith's mother. While on this hunting trip, Dawn finds a deer and shoots the deer. And as Sam is setting up the camera to get a shot of him, Dawn, and the deer twitches and hits Sam, knocking him off the cliff they were sitting on, and he falls to his death. After we leave Sam's room, we enter another room, and this room belonged to baby Gregory and Gus. Both are Sam's kids and Dawn's brothers, just to have the tree connect to, where we're at. Baby Gregory, now, when I first played this game, this story made me cry. To be honest, just to be, vulnerable. It was such a weird feeling while first playing it that it had a lot of emotions, and it is one of my favorite stories throughout this whole game. Sam and his ex-wife Kay were going through a messy divorce, and as Gregory, being the 1-year-old baby, was there, Kay was giving him a bubble bath. Who doesn't like a bubble bath? Let's be for real. So Gregory has a thumbs up for me already. While Kay is giving Gregory this bubble bath, he keeps calling Kay. The first time he calls, nothing's wrong. She empties out the water and he calls again, and she leaves Gregory unattended. Gregory's playing with his toys and the water turns back on. In this story, Gregory's playing with his toys, or his toys are alive. In reality, we know Gregory just kind of turned it on or threw a toy at it to turn it on, but either way, Gregory drowned and Sam blames himself because his need and want to keep calling Kay while she was doing that. It's really a heavy hitter because Gregory was only a year old. Sam was getting married to another woman, and Gus didn't like the thought of a stepmom. So the whole wedding, Gus flew his kite, ignoring his father and ignoring the weather. That was the most important part. The weather picked up, and as Gus is sitting there ignoring his father being, a teenager, the weather swooped up a bunch of debris and buried Gus, killing him. No one knew Gus was out there until they found him on the shore of the sand beach area. And these are both two deaths that are caused by Sam's lack of attention and care to his own kids. So I don't like Sam. We enter Don's room. We find out Don had a husband named Sanjay. That's the father to Edith and all of Don's other kids we will talk about. But in this room, not much happening. It's Don's room and a bunch of the stuff that she had from traveling from India, and the homeschool room where she homeschooled her kids. I'm guessing they don't really talk much. It's not that important. But we make through her room and we find Milton's castle. Milton was Don's kid and Edith's brother. Milton is the only child that we know of that isn't quote unquote dead. Milton went missing and no one knows if he's dead or if he's out there and he's just gone missing. So who knows? But Milton was a painter, and for his birthday he got a castle from his grandma, Edie, and he would just paint. And in the story, while we're following his magic paintbrush flip book, it shows pictures of Milton drawing a door and leaving, kind of like if he was hinting at his disappearance, but nobody really noticed. One of the cool, better rooms, this whole room is a callback to a game the developers made a couple of years back called The Unfinished Swan, but we'll get more into that a little bit later. After Milton's room, we go up another floor, entering Lewis's room. Lewis is Don's older kid and Edith's older brother. We figure out that Lewis has a cannery job, and this is the first time we learn about this cannery job. If you explore the kitchen the first time we enter the house, it's literally everywhere. It's not that hard to, go past it. Lewis used to doze off and daydream a lot on the job as an escape from reality and his, cannery job. After Milton's disappearance, Lewis blamed himself a lot for it, basically shutting himself down from people, hiding in his room, and pretty much starting a drug habit. It might have been weed at the moment. This is 2017, but some people, it's still a habit. So he had a drug problem, to say the least. Nothing crazy. While Lewis is on the job, he's daydreaming about being a king, starting his own little land, and following this princess or prince. They give you an option. Let's go LGB. And he's daydreaming so hard that he doesn't even know where he's at or what he's doing. Kind of like an outer body experience. And it shows that. At the very end of it, Lewis kneels down to get his crown, and we can only assume his head gets chopped off from one of the cannery cutters. We don't know if it's accidental or on purpose. It might have been daydreamed too hard and accidental. That's what it looks like. But there's always that aspect of it could have been on purpose. Finally, we enter the last story, and it's Edith. One night, basically the last night of being at the house, Dawn and Edith were moving out with the fact of Dawn not being able to handle the house anymore. All her kids are dead besides one, and the family keeps dying, and they just couldn't handle it anymore. Mainly Dawn, but they're spending the last night at the house with Edie, telling Edie that as soon as they leave, there will be a nursing home to come pick her up because she can't stay there. But she's arguing with Dawn, and Edith is excused from the table, getting told from Edie that there's a gift waiting for her. Edith finds her way to the library that shouldn't be open, shouldn't even be able to get into it, but she does. And there sits a book, the last story from Edie. And in this book, it's talking about finally reconnecting with the old house, the house that Odin, went down with, the vessel. And right at the end of the story, that we assume is the end of the story, Dawn finds Edith having a fight with her, and the book gets ripped up. That night, that exact same night, instead of staying the night, Dawn and Edith pack their stuff and leave, with the last sight of Edie just being on the doorstep while they drive off. The next day, the nursing home people couldn't find Edie. Edie wasn't there anymore. We don't know what happens to Edie. There's probably some stuff out there that explains it, but me personally, I don't know. Moving around a lot with Dawn and Edith, just them two, Dawn ends up getting very sick and overcomes to her sickness and dies, which leads to the full circle of Edith exploring the house and writing this big story for her kid to know. While Edith is given birth, she dies, but the baby is still alive. After the kid grows up a little bit, he gets the book, and the kid reads the book on a ferry, which, the ferry is just a big ship thing that goes over water, but he's on this ferry, and he makes his way to the island of where the house is. He visits his mom at the cemetery and visits his whole family, and that's how the story ends. Overall, an amazing story. I feel it was just one of the best things I ever witnessed, played, and couldn't have asked for any better. Out of all 13-ish stories, I dwindled it down to the 3 big favorites of mine. In no particular order, we are first going to start with Gregory. Now, I know I said this story made, me cry the first time I played it and sad, but it's still such a good story. It's so simple. I mean, it's a baby and its imagination, and Gregory's imagination is big. I mean, even Sam notices that, and Sam says that. But this whole scene of Gregory playing with his toys and the toys coming alive is so beautiful, and it makes, the end of it even more sadder with how beautiful the scene is. Gregory is my favorite character, to say the least, in this game. I know he's a 1-year-old baby. There's a sign that literally just tells Gregory to be a baby. Sam's story. I love the gameplay mechanics of this story. I mean, the whole time you have to take photos and find the right spot for the photo so the story can progress. Now, it's a slow but good burn. If you don't know what you're taking photos of, you're kind of there for a cool minute, but when you find that spot, it's a beautiful shot, but it's such a heavy hitter story. Now, I don't like Sam as a dad or as a person, for his incompetence, but his story and the ones he's been a part of are some of the good ones and some of the better ones. My last one, and probably one of my favorite ones besides Gregory, Milton's room. Or castle, whatever it may be. First glance, from anyone who has never played a game from this developer, specifically the Unfinished Swan or this game, Milton's castle room is filled with so much lore, so much cool ideas, and is really just a big drawback to an older game they made. And to the normal person, they will not have even noticed that this is your first time playing this game. Now, the story and gameplay mechanic, it's just a flip book. It's not really anything super special. It is cool flip book, but it's still a flip book. The big part that you gotta pay attention to are the paintings and the models and the music whenever you're in the room. This draws back to the Unfinished Swan in so many ways. The Unfinished Swan came out 5 years before What Remains of Edith Finch. In The Unfinished Swan, you play as a little boy who explores and uses paint to find his way through the game. We explore this castle, and we maybe even use water sometimes to grow plants, climb on the plants, but it's such a cool game, and it's such a beautiful game. I might even make a whole video about it. It might be a shorter one, but still. But the whole game mechanic is literally throwing paintballs to path your way through the castle, which is amazing. And first time playing it, it's such a fun experience. The castle and the models and the paintings in Milton's room is this game. Literally is parts of the game, and they took like sketches or even the assets from that game and just tossed them in this little room, kind of giving a hint to what is coming later. Around this whole castle, there is these logos of a man with a mustache. If you ever seen any part of Milton's doodles and you see the man with the mustache, you are automatically corrected to think it is Milton. At the very end of this game, you talk to the king. The king saying how you went around and destroyed all his good work and was making a tomfoolery of his kingdom. In the room, the king's room, he has a bunch of photos of, we assume is him, all over the wall. One of those photos is Milton with a mustache, and you even see it while you're in Milton's room. I might be thinking too deep here, but literally Milton is the king and somehow ended up in this big world where a little boy throws around paint all day and calls it a day. Now, in reality of the Edith Finch lore, a lot of crazy stories happen. And who's to say this isn't just another one of those? But deep down, if all of the other stuff could happen, this can also. Milton ran away to start a kingdom, and the rest is history. If you know anything about me, I am a sucker for scenery, and this game gives a lot. It's like a fat kid in a candy shop. I want all of it. I'm literally never going to starve ever because of these beautiful scenes and areas of this game. Even when you first start the game, being on the ferry surrounded by water, and then starting as Edith and walking through the woods to get to the house, while also the house is in the background surrounded by trees. So amazing. It's like the feeling of Plankton getting his hands on what he thinks is the secret formula. It's so beautiful. Like I said, every story is different, and that helps so much with no reused assets, ideas, and their own little sceneries that crawl back to those people. It's literally their whole life. It's their brooms. After we make it out of Walter's area and it's dark, but the only light path that we get is the moon, and it's really bright. It's so beautiful. I mean, it shines on the water, and it makes me just want to sit there and watch it and never progress through the game ever. After entering the house again to get to Sam's part, the moon seems to never leave your side. The moon continues to show up even if you're not like looking for it or putting so much effort to find it. It always finds you. Rather, you're crawling through this little space and it's poking out the windows, you find another way outside and the moon is just looking at you in your face, or all of above. The moon finds its way for you. Honestly, a huge round of applause for these people and for making such a beautiful game. And the moon plays as like a savior and a beautiful exit to such an harsh game with a bunch of terrible stories about terrible acts. Now, I want to talk about the music for a second, because just like the scenery, the music score is so amazing, and it's honestly the part that draws it all together and truly makes this game feel so nostalgic. I mean, even when songs aren't original and used in the most perfect places ever, it's still very beautiful. There's some songs in here that the game didn't make for the game. They just got the rights for it and threw it in, and it's like, mwah, chef's kiss. Also, right before the beheading of Lewis, his band was bumping like they were going crazy. I couldn't hold myself. I had to bust a jig. Overall, the score of the game is amazing, and if it didn't have the score or feeling from the music, I don't think this game would be what it is today. I love this game with a fiery passion. I found it in early 2020. At the time, it was free on Xbox Game Pass, and I just didn't have a game to play and downloaded it and fell in love with it. I'm so glad I made that choice to download it. If I didn't, I honestly wouldn't be the same man I am right now. This game is a shorter story solo player game, which is a plus. I mean, I can beat it in an hour and 30 minutes on average. Even with a person that explores everything and looks at everything, you're beating it in 30 hours tops. It's a game that you sit down and you can play through and don't have to worry about coming back to it later. Even though this game has such an amazing replay value, because you can play any story you want after you beat it. And even if you want to just explore, you can literally load up the new save, do one or two stories, and you can just go explore for a second. The style and the choice of how they approach this game is unique. It's the most unique you can get with games, especially nowadays where a lot of slop is coming out. It was such a unique experience to play this game, and this game came out in 2017, so it's almost 10 years old, which is crazy to think about, but I would always still visit and play it just to get that rush of emotions every time. Next video, I might, like I said, talk about the Unfinished Swan, since it is by the same team, and this game and that game holds some form of connection and lore together. Anyways, give this game a try. Thank you for watching and supporting me. Like always, subscribing truly helps. Liking the video, comment, say something. You can literally say like tomato and I'll be good. Anyways, thank you for watching and have a good day.